A man named Jim woke up in a hospital in London after a 28-day coma to discover that the entire city had been evacuated. Long before our actual global pandemic, the rage virus spread rapidly across Great Britain, resulting in total societal collapse. Jim's story was just one chapter in the 28 Later franchise that was followed up in 2007 with the sequel 28 Weeks Later. Now we return to the franchise for the newest installment, which features the return of original writer Alex Garland and director Danny Boyle. It's 28 years later. I'm Ronald Young Jr., and I'm leaving the theater. All right, this is Ronald, and I am leaving the theater after seeing 28 Years Later. 28 Years Later. Written by Alex Garland, directed by Danny Boyle. Starring Jodie Comer, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Ralph Fiennes, Jack O'Connell, and Alfie Williams. And as usual, for a complete cast listing, you could go to the link in our show notes. It is just me today. 28 Years Later is the third installment in the 28 Later film series, 28 blank later. So started with 28 Days Later in 2002, 28 Weeks Later in 2007, and now nearly 20 years later, they do 28 years later. As far as zombie franchises go, this is not one of my favorites. 28 Days or Weeks. I mean, they faded from my memory, and they're not ones that I tend to watch over and over again. Technically, they're not even zombies. They are people who have succumbed to the rage virus, but it still operates in many ways like a traditional zombie movie, in that you have to stay away from them, you have to stay quiet, we're trying to rebuild society, all of the things that we always know about zombie films. So this one takes place a lot later in this enclave that is an island that is set off of the British mainland, and because it's set off there, they stay kind of isolated to themselves. They don't have a bunch of technology. They use bows and arrows to hunt and gather. They've built a little society, and they don't have really a lot of problems with infected, until one day Jamie, who's played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, takes his son Spike out on a mission of manhood to get him to get his first zombie kill, and while he's out there, Spike realizes that there was somebody out there who can help his ailing mother, who's experienced his episodes and all kinds of issues at the house. So he thinks that maybe there's a way that he could take her out there to meet someone who can help them. He discovers that there's a doctor out there. Hopefully this is not spoiling too much of the movie. Okay, so the first third of this movie I was not really enjoying. I remember watching it and being like, great, they're making an artsy an artsy zombie. Great, I remember watching and thinking, great, they're making an artsy zombie film. There's a lot of like just cuts that they're using, types of shots, the ways that they're cutting up the zombie with like kind of stock footage from, British being at war back in the day. So it was kind of like interesting in that way, which I kind of didn't think was totally working. I think in some ways it was, but in other ways I was just like, this is just like kind of scenes that you're just cutting in here. And I always feel weird when people do that, like when directors are sending a message by intercutting the footage that I'm watching with stock footage of something else. It's a lot of what happened in Any Given Sunday, for instance, when you'll just see the crowd and then you'll see like a 1930s football crowd all of a sudden, and I don't understand why that's important to the film, and it's kind of disorienting at times. This wasn't totally disoriented, but again, watching it, I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know if this is necessary. unnecessary. But then at some point, the young Alfie Williams goes out on his own mission with Jodie Comer, and with more Jodie Comer came better movie. Aaron Taylor Johnson was fine. He's like kind of the initial, he's the initial action of the movie. But as Spike and his mother go out on this quest to kind of find a cure for her, the movie kind of shifts a little bit. What I don't like about this movie is that it stresses me out. Like, I spent a lot of time being like, please don't go over there. Please don't go over there. Please don't go over there. Don't go over there. Why is part of the plot of this movie y'all gotta go over there? I don't understand. Why you gotta go over there? So I feel like I spent a lot of time being stressed about where they're going and what they're doing in the film and whether or not they're doing the right thing or the thing that I want them to do, which isn't always an enjoyable movie watching experience for me. However, in the last third of the movie, it starts to deal with death in a very specific way, right around the time when Ray Fiennes shows up, who is the doctor, which I don't know, man. I may be spoiling a little bit, but if y'all are scared of it anyway, then this is probably going to be helpful that I told you some of these things are happening anyway. By the time Ray Fiennes shows up, there's a scene and there's interactions between Spike and his mother, Jodie Comer, that felt very emotional for me. I mean, obviously, y'all know by now, I lost my mom last year, and I was watching this and I felt so emotional watching it. I was in tears. I had to pull my shirt over my face. And it's just the idea of this relationship between this son and the mother kind of like breaking down. Oh man, it just was like, watching that really, really moved me. But I want to be careful to make sure that that's not like, you know, dictating the rest of the movie, because watching it, I still walked out saying, well, why did we have to return to 28 years later, if not just to like revisit a franchise? Like, if that's the only reason why we're back here, then yes, you made a very good movie, but I still wonder, why does this movie exist? But the scenes there were so powerful, and I don't know if they'll be powerful for everyone, but for me personally, who's like impacted specifically by losing my mother and looking at this mother and son relationship, it felt like it really struck a chord for me. Outside of that, like there's a lot of things that I don't like about the 28 Later series, which is that they're always, I'm not having fun. It's always very dour. It's always very sad. It's not like, there's not like real, they're just not fun. I feel like I deal with that a lot with these, with watching these. And I feel like the one thing I'd love to see is these movies have more fun. And I feel like because this movie is rolling straight into a sequel that I believe is already in the can, so it is definitely coming out, it looked like the way that it ended, it was heading into more fun, which is good. But also there's like a tendency for like zombie movies to always have people who are a little bit off kilter and a little bit crazy in a way that is unsettling, that like kind of tips the scales from fun to disturbing. And if you watch this, when you get to the end, you'll know what I'm saying. You say like, hey, is this fun or is this going to be disturbing? Like, what direction is this going in? Please, 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 please. Please, let's have more fun than disturbing episodes in this. So overall, I think it's good. There's not that many jump scares. In terms of it being scary, if you watch the 28 Later series, it's no scarier than those. It's probably less scarier than the other two, if I'm being honest. But I think it is one of the strongest entries in the actual series itself. This is one that I would definitely probably watch. And I would probably watch again. I don't know if I would definitely watch again, but I would watch this sooner than I would watch the other two. So I think for me, that's enough to say that I think it's a better movie than the other two. With all of that being said, I think this is a 4-star movie. I think it's a 4-star movie. I think it's just a straight 4 stars. Again, the artsy stuff, the intercutting the scenes, there's like sometimes unnecessarily grisly things that are happening, but I think that comes with 28 Laters. Not really my preference, but I mean, it's part of it. You know what I mean? I can't get mad at something that's going to be a part of the series that I walked into to watch. So yeah, I think overall 4 stars. I will definitely watch the next one. Yeah. And with that, Leaving the Theater is a production of Oh It's Big Ron Studios. I mixed this episode, and right now I'm on a 2-day stretch. Today, I watched 28 Years Later. Yesterday, I watched F1. You will hear them in sequential order. I think you're going to hear 28 Years Later before you hear F1, because F1 doesn't come out till next week, and I believe F1 releases at the same time as Megan 3. So in terms of coordination, when it comes to putting out these episodes, it takes some work. I have to figure out what y'all actually want to watch, what y'all actually want to hear about, what do you want to hear from me about. That is all labor. And if you believe in helping people and pay people for their labor, you should become a patron of Patreon. Go to patreon.com/leavingthetheater or go to the link in our show notes. And if you do that, when you go to Patreon, you'll see that I have a vlog that I am putting a lot of effort into, or some effort into. I'm trying to make it as low lift for me as possible, but I'm trying to do the best I can also and think about topics that y'all want to hear about on the vlog. Right now, I've been watching a lot of Love Island. I think I might be talking about more Love Island on the vlog. So we'll see. Stay tuned to that. And actually, if you're already a patron, you can go in there and kind of maybe make suggestions on what it is you want to see in the vlog. If you want to hear me talk about Love Island, maybe I'll talk about Love Island. Maybe I'll put up a poll. The only way you can see any of that is if you go to patreon.com/leavingthetheater or go to the link in our show notes. Show art from Heather Wilder. Theme music by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. For more information about 28 Years Later, check out our show notes. You can follow me on Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok, Threads, or Letterboxd at Oh It's Big Ron. That's at OHITSBIGRON. You can find out more about this show and other Oh It's Big Ron Studios shows by following us on Instagram at Oh It's Big Ron Studios. Leaving the Theater will be back soon. Thanks for listening.